What's going on, guys? This is Mitchell back with another Slammed Outdoors video, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Shimano Curado DC. So this has been kind of my go-to bait casting reel for the last year. I got it I think a year ago this week, so I thought it'd be fun to make this video to kind of give my thoughts on it and my overall opinions on this reel. DC made by Shimano. This is a 151XG is the model on it. If you guys are curious, that means it's a lefty. So all the Shimano numbers, just for you guys, if it has a 1 at the end of it, so like this is a 151, the 1 at the end means it's left-handed. The 150 is the right-handed version. So like any reel, it's a 151, a 201, a 251, a 301 are lefty, versus a 150, a 200, so on. Those are going to be right-handed reels. So some of the specs on this reel, you guys are getting this. This is just going to come straight off the box. I got the XG, which is the extra high gear ratio. So this reel comes in like a 6 something to 1, a 7, and an 8 something to 1 gear ratios. The XG is the fastest gear ratio. That's 8.5 to 1. Basically, that's just how much line you take in on every crank. So I like reels where you can crank in more line. I kind of got this to fish jigs and stuff with, so I really like having the higher gear ratio for that. So you can kind of hit your target, get your bait back in, hit the next target. So to kind of piggyback off that, you get about 36 inches like per crank on the rotation. There's 7 bearings in this reel. It weighs 8 ounces, which I think is a pretty respectable weight for a bait casting reel, especially like 150 size. It doesn't feel heavy. Like it's not something that you notice is like being heavy. It fits in my hand really nice, and it has 11 pounds of drag. I feel like that's pretty normal for a bait casting reel to kind of be in that like 10 to 12 range. I have a couple reels that get like 20 to 25 pounds of drag, just fine. I think it's a lot. I think it's kind of overkill if you're going to fish for bass, which is really what I use this for. But this is actually my favorite reel, and this is probably one of the most popular reels right now. I think I got this reel for $260, and I don't think I've spent more than like $110 maybe on any other reel that I bought. So this was kind of a big purchase. Personally, I think it's worth the hype. I think at the price point of $250, I think it's a great reel. Personally, I think it's the best reel out there at the moment that's not super expensive. So yeah, it's the same body design as the Shimano Curado K. Is the same exact body. And then the only thing that's different is this has the DC chip in it, which is the digitally controlled chip. So that's what the DC stands for. And basically that means when you cast, it will try to prevent backlashes, which I think is really cool. You can kind of hear it like if you spin the handle on it, so you can hear the chip kind of doing its thing on that. And that'll just be active whenever you cast. So I think that's really cool. And to cast it with braid. And personally, what I've noticed with the Curado DC versus the Curado K and the SLX versus the SLX DC is it's about, personally, I think that's worth it. So I haven't had really any trouble with it. I think I get a little better casting distance. I will say, though, this reel is kind of marketed as being impossible to backlash. I have backlashed it on a multitude of occasions. Cases with that has been fishing it with fluorocarbon. I don't think it reacts as well with fluorocarbon as it does with mono or braid, so that is just something to keep in mind. If you set this thing on the fluoro setting and just bomb it out there, you will still backlash. You can set it so you won't, but you just won't get the same casting range. So there's 4 settings on the side of this reel, which is how you set all of your brakes. It's very, very strange in comparison to other reels. You can adjust your reel on a multitude of different settings. So usually there's like 6 or 7 settings on these reels. So it is a little surprising to see one that only has 4 settings. Personally, I kind of like it though. It's very simplified. And you can make some minor tweaks in these adjustments. So like there's, you can hear it clicking to go like click between them. But there is some wiggle room there. So one is bombing it. So this is as far as you can cast it. And then 2 is going to be your like mono and braid as your 2 setting. So if you're using mono and braid, it's kind of recommended that you go to 2. 3 is fluorocarbon because you want it to be a little bit tighter. And then 4 is your no backlash setting. So if you set it on 4, it's kind of designed to flip jigs and skip docks and stuff and not backlash. So your casts aren't designed to go as far, but you won't backlash, which is a pretty cool setting. And then to open the side plate on it, you just go another click over to open, and that just opens the spool. And then the other thing that I did learn through a couple of videos that I found interesting is the tension knob does not work like a typical tension knob. Or typically you want to make big adjustments with your brakes, small adjustments with your tension knob. The Curado DC, you kind of want to set this for whatever line you have. And then you want to set this so your spool doesn't wiggle back and forth. So if you put your thumb on your line and push it back and forth, there shouldn't really be any wiggle there. If there's wiggle, it's too loose. And to get the best possible casting distance, you want to get it right before there's some wiggle. So that is one thing that I have learned from this. Overall, I think this is a reel that you can throw on just about any bait casting rod and it'll fit pretty comfortably. Overall, this is my favorite reel to cast. I get the best casting distance on this thing. It has a nice spool capacity. So, for example, you can get, using the Power Pro numbers, which this is going off Power Pro line density, you can get 135 yards of 30-pound braid on here. Or if you like mono, 110 yards of 12-pound using just like nylon mono, which I think the diameters on mono are all about the same. So that was a cool little note. Yeah. So I've spooled this up actually with braid and fluorocarbon, and I was a little bit disappointed in the casting distance and the backlashes that I had with fluorocarbon, but not severely, and I think it was a lot fewer backlashes than I would have had with other fluorocarbons or with other bait casting reels. But I did still have some. You can still backlash this reel. It's not a reel that is unbacklashable, but it is definitely better than most bait casting reels. It fishes very easy. It's very, very solid. I really like that part of it. You can pull on the handle. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Nothing on this reel feels like it's just going to fall off, which is something I really like. I've had a couple other reels that after a year or two of using them, they don't feel as sturdy. After a year of having this thing on the water, it still feels like it just came out of the box. That'll probably change in the future, but the DC chip is still working, the brakes still work, and overall I've had just a great experience with this reel. I need to go in and clean it again. I haven't cleaned it in a while, but that's going to be something that's kind of on my list. But overall, this is kind of my go-to reel. The handles are really nice too. I was looking to putting aftermarket like cork handles on here, and when I started fishing with it, I just really didn't see a need, so I just kept these on here, and I'm a huge fan. So the handles are great. The castability is great. I really like the spool size on this. They made a slightly bigger reel, which they made to fish like 50-pound braid, and the reason they did that is the one complaint that this reel does have is if you're throwing 50-pound braid on it, the 150 size reel does not handle it very well. It does a good job, but I don't know that it casts very well, and they just didn't design it for that. So they made the Shimano Curado 200 and the 201s DCs, and if you're going to be fishing in like brackish water or Florida or any situation where you need like 50 and 65-pound braid, that is what I would probably recommend getting instead of this. But I fished in the Midwest, so I got like 30-pound braid on here, like 12, 15-pound fluorocarbon. Again, I've had some backlashes, but not a ton. Definitely fewer than my other reels, but that honestly might just be an angler thing than anything else. There's another one. Not as big as the first one, but Man. That's fish. Maybe they're just over here. It's all. Oh, there's one. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's one of those. It's one of those. That's a 3/8 ounce jig. That thing was gone. He's got me in the crab apples. I don't even know how I describe that. Yeah. That's one of the bigger fish I've caught all year. So this is just kind of my honest opinions on it. So if you're looking into buying a bait casting reel and you're like, you know what, let's spend over $200, this is 100% what I'd get. So I'd recommend this to everybody. My fishing, one of my best friends has it. My dad has one. I got it for him for his birthday in the fall, and it's his favorite reel now. So it's great. I'm a huge fan of these. So I hope this video helps if you're looking into getting these. I'll make sure to throw in some clips of me actually using this, so it's not just me holding it and just shaking it back and forth for 10 minutes. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to like and subscribe, really helps the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to comment below. And I will see you guys later. See ya.